What is SQL is? It's a structured query language. What do you mean by structured query language? So Oracle database has been taught these things already. So it has been created and it has been taught that in a structured way, these are the kind of questions which come, and they have defined few things inside the Oracle database. Yeah, right. So they have taught it already. So they have defined few things inside the Oracle database, which the Oracle database already know. So as part of SQL, Oracle knows SQL keywords and all the words. So it knows the querying. It can understand if we ask a question. So learning SQL would make it easier for us to get to know the database, to talk or to converse with the database. So that's why we learn SQL. It is a structured way, and then query means you're going to ask questions and database is going to give you the answers. So the questions will be in SQL language and the answers are data. So a language through which we query the database. We ask questions to the database, and in a structured way, we have to ask it so that it can understand the question and then give the appropriate answer to us. So this is called as SQL, structured query language. Okay, so we have decided to learn SQL. What else should we learn? Or we should start learning how to ask questions to database. There are few prerequisites which we have to do before even start learning the SQL. Yes. What are the prerequisites? Database, data, and Oracle SQL developer. So database is the person. For example, if you're meeting someone, if you are trying to make contact and if you're trying to converse with them, have a talk with them, what would be the first step which you would prefer to do? The main thing is we will try to know them, right? We will try to know them and then we will proceed. Hi, hello, and we'll start conversing with them. The same way, to learn SQL, what we are going to do is we are going to get to know the person here. The person is nothing but the database, because we are going to converse to the database through SQL language. Yes, the person here is database, so we are going to get to know about the database. So there will be a small introduction of database. As part of database, we learn the basic things, what is a database and all. And then the second most important thing is, the moment we are posting few questions to the database, obviously the database is going to give us the answers in the form of data. If you're not understanding the data, then there is no point in asking question, and there is no point in whether evaluating whether we have got the right answer for our question or not. So you need to know the data to query the database and to evaluate whether the data what we have got is right or wrong, right? So the introduction to data is also very, very important as part of this SQL learning. So introduction to database, to whom we are contacting and to whom we are trying to converse, and the introduction to data, the types and constraints and all. So these are the two main things which we are going to cover. And the most important third one is a medium. See, unlike in the real world, okay, trying to contact another person and having a conversation with another person. So this is a machine. Database is a machine. So how do you do that? How do you try to converse with a machine? Obviously, you need a medium. Let's take an example of this. For example, your friend is staying elsewhere, right? So you can't shout from here so that he or she can hear you and respond accordingly. What would you do is take a phone, mobile, and then call them up, and then you talk to them. So here, mobile phone is the medium. Same way, to talk to database, to query, and to communicate with the database, we need a medium. Yeah, right. So we know the language, how to speak and what kind of questions to ask, but through which we are going to ask questions is SQL developer. Oracle SQL developer is the tool which is actually going to help us to communicate to the database. So the user is here and the database is here. This medium, Oracle SQL developer, is going to help us to communicate to the database. So these are the three prerequisites: database, data, and Oracle SQL developer. So knowing these things and then stepping into SQL does mean something, right? This is how you master SQL. This is going to be our SQL learning methodology. Okay, so that's it for this session. This is about a brief introduction of the SQL learning, which we are going to do as part of this SQL learning.